I'm making this video, the first of several, in response to the forthcoming absolute failure of the COP26 climate change conference to do anything. Okay, I'm going to tell you here and now, this event started on the 31st of October. It's going on till of November, and I can tell you here and now, nothing will come up of it. There'll be so many loopholes, get out of jail clauses, and so on and so forth. It won't mean anything. The lobbyists will probably get their way. I'm not expecting anything to come about because of it. However, that's not to say anything can't be done. Now, what can happen here? I actually do have a government report summary here, and I'm talking about the global warming greenhouse gases emitted by the United Kingdom, and this comes from the Office of National Statistics, a government department. So I'm assuming it's a reliable source. And today I'm going to be dealing with the first one, the most potent. It says here, transport was the largest. Start again. Transport was the largest emitting sector in the UK in 2019, responsible for over a quarter of emissions. According to this, it was 27%. I'm just amazed that they didn't look at some common sense solutions to deal with this. Now, over the next few days, I'm going to be given some common sense solutions to these problems. But unlike the solutions that they're proposing, these will be good for business, they'll be good for the general public, a win-win situation, and they'll be good for your health, wealth, and the environment. There is no need for this conflict between big business and the environment. These changes I propose will be good for everybody. Now, the first things first, I'm going to give 5 things that we can do to actually bring about a reduction in global warming gases emissions from transportation. Okay, I'm going to give you 5 today. First one. Have you ever noticed how much the traffic plummets when the school kids go on holiday? You may have done that. Now, wouldn't it be nice to have it all year round? Now I can hear all the school kids going, "Yay, we can just close down those schools." Not going to happen, unfortunately, although it would be nice. I remember when I was a school kid, I used to dream of days when the schools were closed. No, unfortunately not. But what we could do is do what they do in some parts of the world, the walking school bus. Now let's say we got kindergarten schools and junior schools, okay? So what happens is, with a walking bus, you get 4 staff, and they go to the first kid's house, pick them up. Then one walks to the second kid's house, and then pick them up. Go to the third kid's house, pick them up, and so on and so forth. This dramatically cuts down the number of cars at a school, cutting down congestion, cutting down pollution and greenhouse gases. It gets the kids fitter, healthier, and there's a lot more friendship that goes along. So it's great. And they cost very, very little to set up. They don't cost much to maintain either. So that's one common sense solution. So if you're a parent and you've got kids under the age of 11, I'd ask that you drop a line to the headmaster or headmistress of your school and ask them to set up walking school buses along your school route. Okay, that's the most important thing I ask you to do if you're a parent, if you're watching this video. It's very important we do this. If we can set up a walking school buses for all our kindergarten and junior schools up and down the UK, we can make a huge dent in our carbon emissions and our what do you call it, traffic congestion. A huge dent. Next one. So, okay, cycling. Okay, I'm a very passionate cyclist. Now, one thing that never ceases to amaze me is the traffic disruption that is caused when they put more new cycle lanes in. They've just done some near me, and sometimes I'm amazed at the lunacy of the cycle lanes that they actually put in. Unless there's a physical partition between the cycle lane and the road, they're a complete waste of time, and they're an enormous expense. This is why I suggest as a remedy. If you're a cyclist, when you cycle on the road, don't cycle close to the edge. Cycle no less than 1 meter from the curb. When I cycle on the road, I cycle smack halfway between the pavement and the central dividing line. I do this for 4 reasons. 1, if you cycle at the edge, a car goes past, they may not be able to see you. So what then happens is the wind effect can knock you over. There tends to be glass and potholes at the edges of roads. If you go past a T-junction and you're at the edge and the car pulls out, you've had it. And lastly, if you're at the edge of a road and the car's parked and someone opens the door, you've had it. Trust me on that. So it's a lot safer to cycle no less than 1 metre from the curb. What I would like to see is a green line painted on every road, about 1 metre from the curb, and you just cycle slightly to the right or just on it. If you're cycling in a group of two, please cycle 2 abreast. One thing that's very important, if you are going to cycle, please wear as much reflective gear as you can. It can be very difficult for a car driver to see you. Tonight, I've actually seen some people cycling on the road wearing black. It was very difficult to see them. So please wear as much illuminated stuff as you can. It's very important. And if you are cycling, I would suggest you wearing all white or fluorescent or whatever. Number 3. When I was a medical student, I did some attachments at Barnsley Hospital, and they followed the scheme at Stockport Hospital. I don't know if these schemes are still running. Now, what actually happened under those programs is you could hire a bike for £1.50 a week. They had shower and change facilities at the hospital for people who were cycling in, and they had secure places for you to park your bike. On top of that, something that was really good is that they serviced your bike every couple of months, included in the fee. That's fantastic. Now, what we could do with is having those schemes expanded nationwide to encourage people to cycle. In some cities in the world, the local councils have shower and change facilities for people who want to cycle into the city centre and get basically park their bikes. They've got secure parking facilities, locking facilities, and all that, shower and change facilities. Great. That would be great if we can get those set up with lockers and all that. If we can do that, again, we can knock a huge dent in our congestion problems. Next one. Okay. I live in Sheffield, as some of you may have known. Some of you may or may not know this. In the late 1970s and early 1980s, Sheffield had a legendary system where the buses were heavily subsidised. And when I mean heavily subsidised, I mean heavily subsidised. My neighbours tell me that a journey from a bus ride from where we live to the city centre only cost about 5p. Great, it was very heavily subsidised. And all it cost you was £1 a week in your rates. Sounds great. It was very heavily subsidised. So what they do is they need to heavily subsidise buses, trams and trains and the like, and get people on them. It never ceases to amaze me that we don't do this. So I am setting up a parliamentary petition. In fact, if you look below, you will see a link to that parliamentary petition where I'm asking for this. You see, in this parliamentary petition I've set up, I've asked the British government to follow what the Luxembourg government have done. In Luxembourg, all public transport is now free. It's free of charge. There's no financial reason for you to use your car if you're commuting to work. It's completely free. And that's what I'd like to see the British government do. Let's make all public transportation free. So what I'm asking you all to do is go below. You'll see a link to a governmental petition. Please sign it. Now what actually happens is we need to get 5 signatures to get approved by the government, well, to go by the Parliamentary Petitions Committee. Assuming, of course, we get approved, then obviously we need to publicise it. If we get 10,000 signatures, we get a response from the government. If we get 100,000, then they list it for a possible debate in Parliament, which is what we want. So if we can get free or heavily subsidised public transportation, then we can make a huge dent in our carbon emissions, our global gas emissions, and we can cut down congestion. Congestion costs the economy billions of pounds a year, so we can save all that money. So as you can see, I've got win-win solutions here for these global warming problems. There's no need for conflict between environmentalists and business people. We can all work together. So please take action. One, if you're a parent, you've got kids under the age of 11, please write to your school's headmaster or principal or headmistress asking them to set up walking school buses for kids at your school on the school walking route. And 2, irrespective of anything, if you are in the UK, please sign the governmental petition below and let's get this show on the road. Thank you very much for your time. Speak to you soon. Stay safe and God bless. Bye bye.